Hey everyone, Strainers103 here today with yet another replay cast. Been slacking the past few days, sorry for that. This is vonRoon from Torps playing in a Midway. I think this is the Midway with the tier turn fighters. I'm not exactly sure. I think it is. I don't remember. No post-battle results screen that I mean, the patch is build number 313919, so I think it actually is. But hey, regardless. We're playing in Midway. We have a Des Moines division mate, which definitely can be very useful. Looking at the matchmaking, yeah, those are red tips, so we're running AP dive bombers. Double Bismarck Kurfürst could be vulnerable to that. Ifma's a big target, so there's a lot of chances to hit for decent damage, although AG bombers into torpedo bomber flooding is going to be generally more useful. AG bombers are going to be more useful against the North Carolina, unless, unless he doesn't spec anti-aircraft, and they're I mean, with AG and AP, both of them, we can one-shot the North Carolina with a good torpedo bomber drop. Hindenburg, Zhao, Baguette, Ibuki, Gearing, Benson, these guys can be annoying, these guys, anti-aircraft could be annoying, but other than that, there's not a lot of AA on the enemy team, whereas we get in Missouri, Kurfürst without being shot by AG can actually be kind of dangerous to the torpedo bombers, but, AA dies so fast to AG, it's not even funny. Des Moines definitely could be very useful with regards to the, AA. Now, Des Moines kind of heading towards A. Unless you know what you're doing on A, it's a very awkward position to be in, and it requires a lot of support to make it work. But we're opening up with a pretty standard torpedo bomber fighter into mid. Normally I suggest going fighter first, because against Hakuryuu, his planes just get airborne so much faster. And as you can see in this case, he's going to the A side of the map. He could potentially have made an attack against our destroyer if he found it, if he pushed for the destroyer in this case. So he could have potentially, attacked the DD before we actually get around to defending. If we launch torpedo bombers first, and if he launches fighters early like he did, he's actually one torpedo with double fighter into rest of his strike. He can, prevent our torpedo bombers from effectively achieving anything as well. So it's kind of an awkward situation with that. Regardless, we're playing on a zoom out mod. You can see the amount of the map we can actually see over here. We can actually strafe into this right now to see if we can do something, and there we go, we're strafing. The enemy fighter kind of reacts, but he's just manually clicking into us, so we kill two of his fighters and wipe the squad, so that's actually kind of useful. And at this point, he's kind of just dawdling about. I would suggest you finish off the fighters first at this point, actually. Just get rid of the fighters, then we can pull back and let them play around. Now, we're trying to head on strafe the enemy fighters. We strafe too late, so we kind of only get to 2 planes. We could potentially have gotten 3. And the click is on the enemy torpedo bomber mistake there, so we're giving the enemy carrier a chance to deal some more damage, but the numerical disparity there on the number 2 squadron on the left is so big that, it's not going to matter even if the enemy carrier gets lucky there. And he doesn't actually fail stack into us either, so yeah. Number 3 is being told to return. I'd still use it to, panic these enemy drops and then return home, but I guess, using it just to pull it out can be kind of useful. And it turns out the North Carolina's actually got survivability expert, so yeah. That's a little bit underlit. That's, if he turns in, it's going to be fine, but he's turning away right now, so the second drop wing is 80% wasted. The first one's going to get some decent damage on him at least, but the second one misses about... Yeah, the second one missed half, the first one missed 2, so that's a wasted drop, and it just took a massive hit. I honestly wouldn't suggest dropping this. I mean, in the heat of the moment, you see we're trying to focus the drop on him, so, but, the Benson had launched torpedoes, and we actually kind of failed to defend him there further on, so we could potentially have ordered an escort, but that's an overstrafe. Yeah, that was an overstrike. Oh, yeah. We actually got 2 kills on him. That's kind of surprising, but I would have only expected 1. But I guess Server kind of made some funky crap there, and looks like we get another kill. Both our fighters are running low on ammo now, so it's the other one's made it back home at this point at least. So we've got 1 fighter coming up soon. But here's the issue with the Hakuryuu versus Midway. The Midway can't, in the opening stages, if we're playing aggressively like this, we wipe the enemy fighters, but that means we can't stop his first strike. And it also means if the enemy carrier is smart and tries to play aggressive with his own ship, we can't actually stop his second strike. Now, our fighter actually ran out of ammo here, so we weren't microing that to try to just panic with it. So, oh, it looks like, let me have a look at this. He actually did get a chance to drop the Benson. It's actually a... Ooh. That Benson's going to have to evade the island. He's going to have to go in here and tuck himself between the others, between this set of torpedoes, unless he wants to... Oh dear, he actually ended up taking it up the tail, so that's quite unfortunate for the Benson, because if these dive bombers keep spawning him, like I said, there's no way for us to stop him from being spotted at this point, and that's the important thing. We can't actually stop him from being spotted simply due to the fact that our fighters, you know, even with the early pullback, it's not going to matter. And now you can see on the western side of the map, as we're moving our ship, finding no concealment expertise is definitely a bit annoying to play without. But yeah, that Benson is screwed. The western side of the map is currently being pressured, so we're moving to the eastern side of the map. It's a Bismarck and a Zhao over there, and the Bismarck is currently being farmed, so I would probably fully focus on attacking the west and leaving some aircraft to defend the east, because these guys are the ones pushing. Excuse me. So chances are the group over here is the one the enemy carrier is going to try to kill, because I mean we have a Des Moines there. And there you go, we're pulling some of our strike there. I'd probably pull number 3 fighter over here and number 2 fighter, just tell it to go over there later on, because this fighter is still able to kind of annoy this fighter blob over there. Same but get AA isn't that strong, so we kind of just want to have this fighter over here between our strike and the enemy's fighters. We can see pulling it towards the Zhao is kind of bad in a sense. Now we overlead a little bit, but this Bismarck's away turning, so that's pretty much him gonna. You know, we could have dropped it slightly closer, but with the way he's turning, I think he's gonna suck literally every single one. This is not as good. You want to approach a little bit more from up here and drop a little bit further. And drop a little bit further back, like this kind of a pattern, because you can see we missed the one torpedo on him, and we also dropped it a little bit too early, so we wouldn't have gotten the second flooding on him, which means at this point we're gonna have to commit something else to finish him off. Although in general, I would have recommended attacking the Grosso first, because a Des Moines 27mm of armor can tank a Bismarck from the front, and there you go. He can't tank a Kurfürst, not at this range. So I think that's kind of a support mistake for our division mate. It just seems like, and that's a wasted strafe. So we're going for the tag on the other fighter, right thing to do. This one is slightly aimed to the right side of a ship, so 4 hits for 7.5 doesn't get the kill on him. And this squadron is unlikely to kill him as well. I mean, we just need 1 Citadel to kill, but still, it's being panicked right now, and the planes are kind of dying, so there's no guarantee we're going to kill him. We actually get 2 hits for 2 overpens, though, but at this point, you know, we're actually spotted by the same baguette there. At this point, the Des Moines having gone down, we didn't really do anything to support that Des Moines, and oh dear, it looks like our fighter is getting wrecked at this moment, so yeah, definitely just strafing it down would be the, yeah, we might as well just, you know, either strafe it down or tag into it. Our fighter is likely to die at this point anyways, so we decided to opt for the ammo expenditures to kill it off, and now we can see the enemy's carrier is attacking over there. If we had our number 2 squadron over here and our number 3 squadron to intercept and suppress the enemy fighters, we could have made the attacks, thrown away our fighters, and pulled back while still being able to defend against this. But then again, it's a risk you take, and in the end of the game, I probably would have committed my fighters to get my attacks off, and trusted Missouri Rune Kurfürst to try to defend against, an enemy carrier attack. But at this point, you can see we're actually moving our fighters over there to react to this, so that's all nice and fair. Looks like the Kurfürst actually took a torpedo from the shimmy, but we don't have anything to do about that right now. We don't have planes airborne to attack. So now we need to get this fighter of ours. Oh no, we're pulling it back to the western side of the map. I don't think that's the right thing to do. We need to get in there and defend over there. That's a mistake in my opinion, because it's clearly enemy carrier is trying to make an attack over there, and if he has the torpedo bombers to follow up the dive bomber strike without us actually being able to intercept that, he can kill both the Missouri and the Grosso Kurfürst in one attack if these guys aren't AA spec. And there you go, the enemy torpedo bombers do show up. I wanted to go watch this. There's nothing else to watch on the map, so let's go see. Oh, even the enemies, well, I mean, someone's torpedoes are coming in. He's on fire right now, and okay, it's intriguing drops from the enemy carrier, and you can see our fighters are circling the Bismarck over there, which is currently nowhere near being under attack. But, like, this drop is more than good enough to kill off the Grosso Kurfürst, and if he has a 3rd torpedo bomber squadron to plink on the... Oh, congratulations, you just wasted a dive bomber squadron. You could have dropped that on the Missouri and set some fires enemy carrier, you know, if you're in that situation, but the enemy carrier could have killed both the Missouri and the Grosso Kurfürst because we weren't there to defend, but at this point, you know, he's made his attack, so chances are we can get our attack in as well, and our attack should be going to the enemy gearing to help our shimmer out. That's kind of the right thing to do, but the gearing's engaging at this point, so he's going to be spotted by the Bismarck so that the shimmy can actually shoot back. at this point, and he's decided he wants to smoke up. He probably saw our bombers, or just realized that he doesn't really want to be getting secondary by Bismarck. That kind of hurts. So our reaction to the enemy carrier attacking over here is to send one fighter towards this group over here, and the other one is kind of just circling our Bismarck instead of... I mean, it's close enough, but it could still be suppressed if the enemy had a fighter... What am I talking about? The enemy had a fighter over there. What a spot of luck for the enemy carrier. So this attack is again going to be suppressed because we don't have our fighters nearby to suppress him. And, oh, wow. Nice shot by the Bismarck. He got rid of the enemy curve first. So, at this point, our dive bombers are kind of just throwaways because our fighters aren't defending anything over there. So, we might as well just focus on getting this torpedo bomber attack done properly. We could use our number 7 and just attack, click it on the Hindenburg, because at this point, we're not going to achieve anything with it. Anyways, very slightly overlay drop on the Isthmo. This guy doesn't seem to be a complete idiot, so he turned in and slowed down. Otherwise, he actually would have upfront died to that. And whoever shot that salvo doesn't seem to have achieved anything. Looks like the Hindenburg actually triggered defensive AA, because the non-fighter tagged squadron is the one that just got murdered. So that's actually a little bit of information we just acquired, and I mean, there's nothing better to do with this plane. We might as well hope, but the longer we dawdle it about, the faster that plane's going to get in. Oh dear. I think it would have been caught anyways, but like, what's one plane going to do? Now we're going for the enemy fighters now after our strike is already gone. So at this point, the ball is in pretty much our side of the court if you want. The enemy carrier is the one that's going to be making the next move because he has the opportunity to. And we could do a funky strafing, but I think he's just pulling towards the Isthmo. Oh, he actually went for the tag there. He was not just trying to outrun us. Oh, he disengaged strafe. We have nothing else to pay attention to that. Yeah, there you go. Like I thought, he was going to disengage strafe, and we actually failed to react to that, so we failed to get the completely free kill on the enemy fighter over there. At this point, I would just, it's a 3-plane squad. I would just, there you go, turn around and tag the other one so we don't, get baited into the Hindenburg. The ship's kind of just been circling up in the top right corner. I haven't actually, it's been a very active game. I haven't had the chance to commentate on that. But overall, our ship positioning without concealment expertise is kind of fine. You do want to be careful about this kind of stuff, though, because 6 and 7 were ordered to attack the Isthmo. There's now a attack marker in the middle of nowhere for squadron number 6, the one that got wiped. In general, though, our team's actually kind of in the lead right now, kind of, because we've got 3 battleships, the enemy's got none, and their cruisers aren't really the world's most healthy. So at this point, it's really just a matter of protecting our fleet, and there you go, number 2 fighter, and you can see the enemy Hakuryuu is spotted down there. So we should, be moving our other fighter over here to the shimmy to help defend because, he's just spotted again. It's our aircraft doing it most likely. Focus is now on the enemy fighter because the shimmy's going to be getting spotted. He kind of needs to get in there. That's a wasted strafe. That's way too far away. But we need to get in there and help the shimmy. We need to get the other fighter over here to help the shimmy as well. And the enemy's Benson's actually capping C now, so that's kind of annoying. And there you go. Good thing we didn't commit that strafe. He's baiting you away from the shimmy. So we need to keep the fighter right on top of the shimmy and force the enemy carrier to make a move. That's a wasted strafe. Because, yeah, there you go. He's not even coming there. If he'd gone down there, maybe we could have clipped the second squadron. But, hey. Now, he doesn't know exactly where the shimmy is. Because he didn't actually see that launch. He would have seen where that one came from. And that one leads to where his torpedoes came from. So, our number 3 squadron, I'm guessing we're just overloaded with micro at the moment. Our number 2 is low on ammo, number 3 is still just circling the turtles over there. We haven't yet noticed. Hindenburg's pushing our allied Bismarck, but that's kind of fine. I mean, at this point, trades go kind of in our favor because we'll just have firepower advantage and firepower superiority to pull through. As long as we don't let the enemy Benson, get around and sneak around and do some damage. We should be moving our ship behind this island over here just to get some damage in. Looks like the enemy carrier is going for a Bismarck, but he's kind of screwed because the Hindenburg's in his face, and that's not really somewhere you want to be in a Bismarck, because, again, Bismarck can't null pen that. Our number 2 fighter is now completely out of ammo, but our type bomber actually gets lucky to finish off the enemy Hindenburg as we get set on fire. A consideration would be to damage control party that, because we can easily finish off the Ibuki, who has defensive anti-aircraft. We only need one squad. He's got 4k health, and our torpedoes do 9,867 damage. That's a massive overkill drop. We could have saved the other drop to block it on the Hakuryuu and maybe force him to use either a damage control party. We don't have HE bombers to follow up, but we could have forced him to use, more importantly, a defensive AA with 6 minutes left in the game. And if he doesn't defensive, well, he's going to lose a third of his health to our torpedo bomber strike. Now at this point, this guy is not an easy kill. That's a reasonable looking strafe, so that should be Nope, he actually gets out of the attack path. And I'd focus on the big... Oh, yeah, that should be wiped. There you go. We wiped that, so now we can just follow up and tag the other plane. There you go, ordering the attack. That can pretty much just be ignored at this point. Our dive bomber is going in for the Hakuryuu. I think actually, I'm not sure if that's a defensive click or not. Replays. Yeah, I don't think that's a defensive click, which is kind of useful. But at this point, we need to focus on defending the shimmy, but we also need to find that Benson. Because we don't really want to risk our Bismarck with this point state. We don't want to risk our Bismarck getting torpedoed. We don't want to risk our cells getting torpedoed either. Now, our damage control body is coming up again. But we don't want to give the enemy carrier an opportunity to just strike through us, and force a fire or force a flooding on us after we damage control body. So right now, I would suggest just using this dead dive bomber, because this dive bomber is useless now. It's an AP dive bomber. It's pretty much completely useless. We might as well just use the empty one to look for the Benson in the meantime. And that's a dodgy stray if we're too close to the commit point, and we're so low on ammo now that we just should use this. We should use this fighter for panic only. It's not going to kill anything. It's not going to kill anything useful enough to suppress. And the fact that we're permanently spotted, it's probably not the Zhao. It is probably the Benson that has gone around. So and there you go. Torpedoes get spotted. Big spot of luck then that the Bismarck didn't die to that. Because if the Bismarck had died, this game would have been 100% lost. We're being shot at by the Zhao right now, so that tells us exactly where he is. So we need to go deal with the destroyer. It should be pretty obvious that that is the destroyer, because the fighter didn't spot the destroyer earlier. And I mean, we weren't paying attention to that at that point. Regardless, next fighter coming in and the Zhao spotter, we need to kill him right now. Now, Hakuryuu is not really in a position to die and is being torpedoed under influence of aircraft as well, so the Hakuryuu has a chance to evade that. Granted, he still needs to de-island himself first, but he has a chance. He has all the chances he needs to evade that. But right now, focus needs to be on killing the Zhao. 4 up here, 5 down here, split and attack. He doesn't have to have a defensive, but if you had a defensive, you definitely have to split and attack up against him. So this is a huge risk we're taking. That's... Ooh, I mean, the lead is correct on this drop now. Even the first drop, the lead would have been correct. He's going to arm right here, right? So, you can see 1, 2, 3, bam, finally we hit him. But we hit him, so... the first drop's lead was good enough because he wouldn't have been able to sail in, to get himself to flick into them before they armed anyways. And it looks like the Hakuryuu didn't recognize the torpedo path, and he just, 2 is a kill, and, well, it looks like he's going to take 3, not like it matters, because 2 is going to kill him. So that's a huge spot of luck for us. We kill the Zhao, we kill the enemy Hakuryuu, so that's giving us the ability to lock down the points, but we're still not reacting at all to the enemy's Benson behind us. I think this is just a slip of the situational awareness. This fighter squadron can be pulled up there. This fighter squadron over here, that's currently landed, should just be ignored at the moment. We've got no use for it. Taking off on number 6, we can actually queue number 3 fighter squadron to take off right now. We're not really looking at anything. I mean, on my screen I can see these torpedoes. I'm guessing on your screen you didn't. Otherwise, there's a good chance you would have reacted to sending up planes over there. This guy should just deserve a permanent account ban. Chances are the enemy destroyer, you saw this torpedo, and now we're definitely seeing them. He launched them from somewhere over there. Chances are if this Rune wants to push towards the corner over there, he can actually cut him off. So chances are if this Benson wants to aim for survival, he's going to be heading further north on this map right now. That's kind of where I would be heading. Plus, you might get a better broadside drop on the Bismarck, or even potentially hunt down the carrier. Yeah, okay, this guy definitely deserves a permanent chat ban right now, in my opinion. But the enemy Benson actually can win the game right now. There's 1 minute left of the match. If he kills this Bismarck, you can see the point differentially. If he kills the Bismarck and, both the Bismarck and the Rune, it's guaranteed loss. But, if he runs into the shimmy by accident and kills that, he's only going to get 1 more torpedo drop, because he's at this point gotten unlucky and missed everything. But, and it looks like he's typing to the enemy's Benson. The Benson's actually going to try to win the game there. Let's see, who is this idiot? Oh, it's the horrible enemy aircraft carrier. Well, he wasn't horrible. He could have done better. His attacks were horrible, though. I will give him that. So, no, enemy carrier, you do not have a right to speak. Looks like we're realizing that the guy isn't actually lying, as cheesy as it is. But this is 2 planes that are covering the same area. This is 2 planes that's pretty much covering the same area, 3 planes almost covering the same area. We actually get lucky to spot him and his torpedoes, but splitting up our planes to cover a wider area in this kind of a late game is more efficient. Now with HE bombers, we can do a lot more damage to them in a single drop, but AP bombers, I mean, they can still jam someone's engine if we get lucky, and wow. Engine jam on him. I mean, if you get lucky and jam his engine again, I mean, AT bombers can also do the exact same thing. In fact, they can splash your engine without even hitting you. But looks like we actually get lucky and jam something. I'm not sure if it's a rudder or if it's the engine, but yeah, it's the rudder. But he's got last stand. But you know, he's not slowing down fast enough to dodge this one. Oh, wow. The first one actually the triangle armed, but they didn't server off, so it didn't go off. But we actually clipped his bow with another one. That Benson, I mean, he could have tried to just sail out of the first drop. That one was kind of way underled, so there was a lot of time on the torpedoes, and they were kind of put far enough behind. If someone's running away like that, you could almost drop the torpedoes literally on top, right, literally next to him, and they will pretty much lock him down without much of an ability for him to get out of it, unless he tries to slow down. But if he slows down, he's exposing himself to the second drop much more than he is with the. If he tries to maintain speed and sleep out of the first drop. But then again, avoiding a perfectly cross-drop Midway series is, if you don't have defensive AK, is pretty much you're screwed. So good luck, have fun. Regardless, we actually picked up a very good result in the end there. We got to deal some reasonable damage as well, although we never really suppressed the enemy's destroyers. It's noticeable, we never even flew towards the gearing when he was in combat with the Shimi. We never looked for the Benson until he was the last enemy alive, even though we had a plane potentially able to do so. So if you're playing on a big map style like that by zooming out, I definitely think that you... I mean, is it the opposite of tunnel vision, or is it kind of making tunnel vision more apparent? It's hard to say from a gameplay perspective, because it felt like in this match we weren't really using primarily our fighters when we could have. We had a couple of our strikes which were slightly inconvenienced by the enemy carrier's fighters. The enemy carrier his fighter play was horrible, so it didn't really matter. And if this is the patch I think it is with the tier 10 Midway fighters in 2.2.2, there's really isn't too much the enemy carrier could have done other than try to outstrike us. And he did try to attack when we were not able to defend, but he also fed us a lot of free planes, making his diluting his striking capacity in the beginning as well. So the enemy carrier definitely didn't handle himself good at all this game. Although it's it's kind of hard to handle yourself against a 2.2.2 Midway, which has more planes than you, more fighters than you, better fighters than you, more replacements of fighters than you, more Alpha Strike than you, and you see where I'm going with this. But he did a very good launch though, single torpedo bomber, then fighters too. So that kind of is as a Midway player, you need to be careful of that being a counter to you as a versus the Hakuryuu, because if he launches fighters first, or if he launches strike and then fighters, he can not only get the attack off before you can attack if you go double torpedo bomber, he'll also stop your torpedo bombers from doing anything because his fighters are there and you need to wait for yours. So he, with an opening launch, with a 4, 5, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 launch on Hakuryuu, that's 2 torpedo bombers, 2 fighters, last torpedo bomber, remaining dive bombers, with the launch sequence like that, Hakuryuu can kill a destroyer before you get to defend it, especially if you pick the wrong side of the map to go for. He can also use his fighters to stop you from killing one of his destroyers if you launch torpedo bombers first. So I suggest launching fighters first as a Midway against Hakuryuu with a headwind launch, so then you can try to counteract the disadvantage of the Hakuryuu. Especially if you have a destroyer in your division, you definitely want to do this to support your destroyer against an enemy Hakuryuu. But in this case, it was we were playing solo, and the Moine that was technically in our division was also playing solo. For those that have watched the Akitsuki commentary, there was just a massive disconnect between us and our division mate, and our division mate picked the wrong, really, really awkward side of the map to put a Des Moines in. If he was in a Hindenburg there, he could have played that side of the map. If he was in a Zhao, he could have played that side of the map. Of course, you'd have to play more open, but in a Des Moines in that situation, without a tier 10 battleship against enemy tier 10 and 9 battleships, is generally going to result in dead Des Moines. And that was exactly the result that occurred. So, if the Des Moines had been more towards B, we could have supported them more, they could have supported us more. But in this case, there just was this bit of a disconnect between us and him, and in my opinion, and as harsh as it is, he was just a random, and to him, we were just a random. In fact, if it was the enemy... If it was the allied division mate Des Moines that told us to move fighters to the left side of the map, which I think there is a chance that there would have been, because it was clear that we had the intention of moving our fighters to defend the eastern side when the enemy made the torpedo bomber drop against the Glossy first and the Missouri. If that was him, then that was a wrong call as well. But otherwise, I mean, in general, it was a wrong call to make, to not have the fighter continue to the east in the middle stages of the game to defend the battleships. Once we beat down the enemy strike, we started defending the shimmy, which is the right thing, because the enemy carrier by that time had moved to the western side of the map, just like we were moving to the eastern side of the map, kind of like this yin-yang circle or ring around the rosy kind of a deal. So at that point, the allied shimmy was going to be the primary target for the enemy Hakuryuu, and, you know, the right thing for the enemy Hakuryuu, and, you know, our fighters were there. Again, we could have moved the second fighter that was still circling around the turrets near C, either to use that to spot the Benson and to suppress that Benson, or to use that to you know, bring over and support the defense of the shimmy. The enemy carrier had been better and a bit more aggressive with his planes, so there's a chance he could actually have killed the shimmy earlier, so, you know, and without that shimmy, this game would have been a defeat, because nobody would have been able to lock down C on time, and, you know, the rest of the points, and, you know, the carrier wouldn't have died, and whatnot. So the last thing to bring up is AP bombers and HE bombers. Personally, I more than highly recommend usage of HE bombers on the Midway at tier 10. The AP bombers can kind of work at tier 8, where there's a lot more targets available, like War Spites, I think even Bayans are vulnerable, Kneisenau's, Bismarck's, Felix the Grosses. Cleveland's not so much, but there's a lot more ships vulnerable to your AP bombers at tier 8, spread over more tiers than at tier 10, where it's really just German battleships, you know, Bismarcks. There are a few of them around. Yeah, sure, Moskvas. Yeah, sure, Des Moines. But again, you don't necessarily want to try to fly into them too often, because it can be quite a toll on your aircraft. And against the Des Moines, if he has defensive available, you have to pick your time and basically pick something to sacrifice to him to actually get a drop on him. Either you sacrifice torpedo bombers to make him defensive, and if he's smart and he's fully A-spec, he'll just kill them off without defensive, and then defensive your die bombers and completely wipe them before you get to achieve anything. So there's a lot of things to keep in mind with the AP bombers to make him work, and in this game we definitely would have been making much more use from the HE bombers. The potential to set fires into flooding damage over times, or even flooding damage over times into fire damage over times, you know, against some of the targets still would have been useful enough. And on top of that, we could have you know, a better HE drop on the North Carolina after the torpedo drop, and the Allied battleship shell would have upfront killed him as well. You know, the HE bombers, you know, compared to an overpen and a full penetration, AP bombers are inferior in damage to HE bombers, believe it or not. HE bomb will hit for 2.5-3k, whereas an AP bomb on an overpen will do 800, so that's horrible. You know, how many AP overpens do you need to deal the damage of one HE bomb, am I right? Of course, AP bombers will hit more due to the much smaller drop circle, but the HE bombers will kill anti-aircraft, they'll set fires, you know, killing AA reduces the amount of planes you bleed overall into the attack, especially against high AA ships like Conquerors with heavy autocannon focus, Montana with a lot of heavy autocannon, Des Moines with incredible heavy autofocus, Minotaur with incredible heavy autofocus. So, you know, ships like this, you know, with an AP bomb, sure, you might delete them up front, you might just do overpens against them, but with HE bombs, you'll set fires, you'll kill anti-aircraft, and make it much easier for you to deal with them in the later stages of the game. Plus, if you get lucky with a torpedo bomber to set a flooding on someone that's permanent, that is a lot of damage they're going to bleed. And not only that, they're losing a lot of their maneuverability as well, which makes them easier for your team to shoot, easier for your team to torp, and in general reduces their ability to get away from the battle if they're bow in. So that definitely is a consideration to take in mind. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this replay cast. If you did, give me a like, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content like this. If you would like me to feature your replay content on your gameplay, and in general, you know, give you tips and tricks on what you did good, what you did bad, what could be improved, and what could be done differently, send them into replays.strangers123@gmail.com. There will be an address in the description box below. Take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.